Hey everybody, welcome back to Mark Kelly Farm. If it's your first time with us, welcome to you as well. We hope you stick around. We hope you subscribe. We're going to be out in the shop today doing something I've been needing to do for a long time. So let's check it out. So if you've been with us for a while, you know we've been needing to run power to the Binzeebo over there. And it's going to come over here to the shop. We've already had an electrician come out, and we figured out where the underground was that goes to the house, the main power line, so we can avoid that. Now, we were originally going to go rent a trenching machine to trench that in. And it's not like the water lines here in Nebraska where we got to go like 5 feet. We're doing a direct burial Romex that we can bury right in the ground. And instead of going in and renting that trencher, because I checked into it, it was close to $400 for, I don't even think that was a whole day. But we'd have to drive an hour to go get it. So I thought of something else that I've seen done before, and this is what we're going to do. So we've got our subsoiler that we use. It's just a county line subsoiler we bought from Tractor Supply. And we use this out in the garden. Our garden rows we subsoil before we plant every spring. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to make a shank to shank in the wire. And we've already got the shank portion with the ripper. We just have to put the tube on the back side of it to run the wire down in. And I picked up this tube from our local steel place. It was scrap iron out in their scrap bin, and it already had a bend in it, so I don't have a way to bend anything here without like just heating it up and bending it. But it's already got a decent radius. We've already marked where we want to cut it, so that's one of the first things we need to do. What this is going to do is that tube is going to sit right along the back of this shank, and as this shank goes through the ground, you feed the wire through the tube and it buries it in the ground. So let's get our pipe cut. All right, we got our pipe cut. Our little 4.5-inch grinder made short work of that. So it's going to sit about right here on the back of this. So we need to cut some flat bar to go on here to hold this pipe, and then we're going to bolt it through the shank, which means we need to drill holes through the shank, and then we're going to weld it, those plates, those brackets, to this pipe. So we're going to muscle this thing. We're going to mark where we want our holes. We'll muscle it over to the drill press, and we'll drill these holes on the drill press, because this is like 3/4-inch material that would not be any fun with a handheld drill. All right, we drilled some pilot holes, and anytime you're doing a real big bit like this or a real big hole, you want to do a pilot hole because the center of that bit's not quite as sharp because it's so big, and that hole acts like what it says is a pilot. That big bit follows that little hole down through there. So make sure you also use plenty of lube. So we'll put a little bit of that on there. And you also want to gear your drill press down to its lowest speed, because if you're cutting a big hole like this, you need to cut it slow. So let's drill a hole. Both of our holes are drilled. Now I'm going to use these pieces left over from making our 3-point hoe the other day, because they got kind of the angle that we need, because we need to come in like this and weld to that. So we're taking 2 of these. I've marked the hole where it needs to go, and we got it over here in the drill press. And I took 2 pieces, clamped them together so they'd be exactly the same, and we're going to drill these holes, and then we'll get our other brackets figured out for the top, and then we'll drill those, and then we'll put bolts through, and then we can weld that pipe on. Well, you can see we got our brackets made. I tilted this one over a little bit so we get more surface area here. We cleaned the pipe up and we chamfered the edges on the inside so we're not sharp at all when that cable's coming out. And we'll probably hand sand this up a little bit to get it a little more dull, I guess I should say. Now you can see our pipe is a little bit above the bottom part of our shank because we don't want to bend this. We want plenty of loose dirt here underneath it. And then if you recognize these bolts, these are the bolts we took out of our quick hitch the other day on the tractor. So we're just reusing those. Reuse, we repurpose. That's what it's all about on the homestead, folks. So I'm going to wheel this over here to the welder, and we're going to run a bead on these. Now the pipe is only 1/8 inch wall, so we need to set the welder to weld 1/8 inch material, even though this stuff here is 3/8. We don't want to burn through that pipe. Now this pipe does have a seam in it, but the seam is on the bottom down here. So as the cable is dragging along the inside of this, it's not going to tear up the cable. So that we were fortunate that that had the right bend in it to where the seam on the pipe is down here. Now we also chamfered this end, and as we feed the cable through while we're using this, there shouldn't be any pressure because we're going to be feeding the cable through the top. So there won't be any pressure pulling on the cable really inside this pipe. We are officially done with this. So we got her all welded up all the way around. So I think this is going to work well. So I'm not going to try it right now, but it will be on this video. It's time to go in and make dinner. So when we finish this video out, we're going to be shanking cable in the ground. Okay folks, it's the next morning and we're going to shank in some cable. We've got the implement on the tractor and we've got our wiring started. What I did was I came in here sideways with the front loader and dug a little trench as close as I could to the barn to get us started. And then I went ahead and finished this out, ran the wire inside, left enough to make it to the box. And then we did a pre-rip of the path because if I go full depth with this thing, it'd probably stop the tractor, and I didn't want that to happen when we were laying cable. So I did 2 passes to loosen that up real nice. And then we got the cable just strung out here next to the tractor. So my buddy, neighbor from down the road is coming, and he's going to feed the wire for me while I drive, just to make sure it doesn't hang up in there. So let's go show you what we did on the other end down here. The ground's a little dry because we haven't had any rain in a while. But I did the same thing down here with the front bucket of the tractor. I dug a little kind of a starter ditch here, and then we're going to rip right into that ditch, and then I'll just take the wire. I got to dig a little bit with the shovel over there to get the wire up to my elbow, and then we'll put a piece of conduit on the bottom of that to run down into the ground. But that's how it's going to work. Hey, we got her done. I'm glad that project's done. So after we shanked it in, we started burying it back. Now our ground's so dry out here, it clotted up really bad. So we're gonna water this down real well before we pack it, because I don't want any hard rocks going down and pushing on that wire. So we're gonna loosen up all these dirt clods with a sprinkler, and then we'll run the tractor along the row and pack it down. We've got both ends stubbed in where they need to go. I got the wire ran on the inside. I just got to connect it in the breaker box, and then we're roughed in over there. Just got to run the finish wiring in the Binzeebo. So we're going to go get some parts to finish out that electrical job in the Binzeebo. We got to get a few boxes and plugs and such, and we might as well grab a burger while we're in town. So I hope you enjoyed this video, us building that little project so we could get this done. Saved a ton of money, folks. If you've got any kind of skill at all and some scrap metal, you can save yourself some money by building what you need instead of renting or buying what you need. So we actually got another implement we need to build coming up, but I probably won't do that till next week when we're in the 80 degrees again. It's starting to get a little warm again this week. So I got a cheesecake I want to show you. So the next video will probably be in the kitchen. So till next time, stay safe, stay healthy. We love you guys. Come back and see us here on Mark Kelly Farm.